black people represent 13% of the U.S. population, but are 56% of gun homicide victims. And if you don't have a problem with that, I don't want to be your friend anymore. Dyze in your house. Hey, yo. Who's in the house? Dyze in your house. What goes on, peeps? It is Friday. It is at or around 6 o'clock. And I'm coming to you with a new action-packed Dyze in your house. This is the pre-show. It's the post-show. And it's the prelude to the J Porks podcast. A podcast that you can find every Monday on the Dara Network on iTunes. But if you want to keep it locked to all things Dyze in your house, what you're going to do is you're going to go to iTunes. You're going to search for Least Coast Radio. Least Coast Radio. Like East Coast, but Least Coast. And you're going to smash that subscribe button, man. And you're going to hit that like button. You're going to hit the star rating. You're going to read some of the reviews that have been written about me. Some of whom from my friends who weren't very nice. But it's okay. Because the point is that you're going to get me. You're going to get a weekly dosage of me. At least a weekly dosage. Possibly more. We are working on things. We are working on having more shows coming to you on East Coast Radio. But right now, because every Monday we have a long-form podcast, the J Porks podcast. That's where we tackle the corruption that's going on in the rising fascist regime that is currently occupying the house that is white. We are currently on the J Porks podcast, we talk about the Mueller investigation. We talk about how foreign entities, hostile foreign powers, are used as distractions from other hostile foreign powers meddling in our elections. We dive into indictments. We dive into court documents. We have a new segment called The Thread Count, where I give you what the intel community is telling me. The intel community, the members who I follow on Twitter who have analyzed such communities as intel in the past before. People smarter than me is the long story short of all that. Let me turn the mic back towards me here. Okay, so it's Friday. Today's a big day for me because I just want to give a quick shout out before I get into anything else. Shout outs to the 8th graders at St. Teresa who graduated today. I've been hanging out with them for like 3 years. They're pretty cool. And, you know, fun times. We had fun. And I don't know what I'm going to do for work next year, but, you know, hopefully it involves a lot of the resistance. Hopefully it involves a lot of doing things that matter. And if it doesn't involve doing things that matter in the political spectrum in terms of getting out there in the streets, making sure that vote is out there, making sure people are voting on policies that support all Americans, making sure that we get an economy that works for everybody, every single American, and that means poor Americans, that means disenfranchised youth, that means Americans that may have been caught up in the system, students who, you know, maybe went to a high school and, you know, watched their friends get killed. Maybe there needs to be some programs to help them out. I'm all about that. Speaking of kids getting killed, it's not something we like to discuss. We only like to discuss thoughts and prayers. Here on the J Porks podcast and on this Dyze In Your House, we do not do thoughts and prayers. And we switched up beats here. Okay, I'm gonna go with it. So continuing on. This Tuesday, June 12th, in Manhattan, I will get the details up in a second as I scroll my phone. There will be a die-in. And it will be, here we go. It's brought to you by the March for Our Lives, New York. It's Die-In Day, June 12th, 2018. At 12:30, there will be a rally and a speak out. And then at 2 p.m., there will be a 12-minute die-in. And that's at 2nd Avenue. At Dag Hammarskjöld Plaza. It looks like it's either misspelled or it's some German word that I can't pronounce. That's between 47th and 48th Streets in Manhattan, New York, 10017. Hashtag NY Die In Day. Now, co-sponsored by New Yorkers Against Gun Violence, the League of Women Voters of the City of New York, and Youth Over Guns. And of course, March for Our Lives, New York City. Now, you may ask yourself, Jay, what are you doing? Like, you're not gonna change anything. Listen, man, when I went to school, it was never a thing where I was worried about somebody coming in and unloading an AR-15 on me. And I will continue to talk about this because these are kids, man. And if these kids, you know what I'm saying? I mean, listen, some kids saw their friends get shot. And that's what got them involved in, knowing who to vote for in terms of who gets money from the NRA and whatnot. NRA scoring, all that stuff. Voter registration. We gotta register young people, man. We gotta register young people to vote. We gotta register people that aren't registered, minorities, people that feel that their vote doesn't count. I'll use the word disenfranchised again. People that think, my vote doesn't matter. Well, listen, man. It does. And it matters for a lot of things. And yeah, some people may say, oh, Jay, the president doesn't affect you. All right. But I'm talking 2018 right now, and I'm talking kids getting shot. And if people aren't elected that are going to sign bills that prevent kids from getting shot, then yeah, voting does matter. So I'm sorry if you feel that, going to your local, polling place, which, trust me, I live in New York City, and New York City is not that far from you. I understand that there are parts across the country where it may be harder to get to your polling place because they gerrymandered their way into, the Republicans gerrymandered their way into making it hard for people that would vote against them to get to a polling place. I understand that that's a thing, and that's another thing that we need to do. Another thing we need to do. We need to make sure that that stuff doesn't happen. We need to rent buses. We need to get people to vote. As an American, you have a right to vote. And if you're not using that right, then I don't even know what you're thinking. You have walking around calling yourself an American, wearing an American flag as a t-shirt and a MAGA hat, you know what I'm saying? Make America great again. You mean make America a third world country? You mean make America a kleptocracy? You mean make it an autocracy? You mean make it a fascist place to live? You mean make it a place where football players are going to be punished if they don't stand up for the national anthem? And, not to mention, a place where people value guns over children. Now, I know I say this all the time. I said this on the Jay Porks podcast last Monday, and you can go to jporks.com, and you could always keep it locked to everything that's going on Jay Porks podcast endeavors-wise. Dyze In Your House, East Coast Radio, Jay Porks podcast on the Andy Dare Network, all that stuff. You can get it all at jporks.com, JAYPORKS. Also, follow me on Twitter at jporks. Same thing, JAYPORKS. Ask me questions. So about this die-in. On Saturday, as you know, I was at the March for Our Lives pre-rally, March for Our Lives New York pre-rally on the steps of Borough Hall here in Staten Island, or I like to call it North Texas. And I got into the newspaper. Usually, there would be a pastime where I'd be the guy aspiring to have the picture that they took make it into the newspaper. But that part of my life is over. Democracy is not a spectator sport, as my friend Linda Kite shared on Twitter. It's not a spectator sport. And we all have to get in there and vote. And listen, if you want to be selfish, let's just say you're somebody that says, hey Jay, listen, I don't care about kids. Let's just say you're like that. Maybe you hate all children of America. And maybe you get excited that they die. Okay. What else are you into? You know what I'm saying? Because, I mean, the people that liberals, progressives want to vote, yeah, some of them seem like single issue voters, but if somebody's voting on one thing that's progressive, chances are there's going to be other things they're going to vote on that's progressive, and that's going to be things that help all Americans. Not just rich white American males. Not just them. Not just people that know the Koch brothers and the Mercers. And by the way, I don't like to take my personal social media to task on my podcast. I don't like to call out people from comments that they leave on my posts, because I'm not that kind of guy. Oh wait, yes I am, and I do that all the time. So a buddy of mine commented, I shared a thing, Cynthia Nixon was on The Daily Show recently with Trevor Noah. She was talking about progress, making progression, this and that and this. My friend comments with this. Now again, this is somebody who claims to be a centrist Democrat. This is somebody who has worked with me at Concert Confessions before, way back in the day. I've been to the same shows as this person. This person lives around here. I mean, not around here, but in New York City or in the greater New York City area. Grew up the same place I grew up. New York. But for some reason, leaves a comment and is a centrist Democrat, but says things like, don't talk bad about my Trump. My Trump. Oh, man. Did you pick your skirt up too? Why don't you pick your skirt up? Swish it around for us a little bit, my Trump. Anyway, so in the headline of the thing, it said something about progress. And he says, no more progress. That's his comment. No context other than that. No more progress. And I'm like, what do you mean, sir? What do you mean no more progress? We've had enough progress. Maybe save some for the next generation. Wait, I'm like, wait, we've peaked as a society? No, maybe save some, let the next generation progress a little more. As if there's some ceiling on improving as a society. You know what I mean? Like, that's like telling a student, and since I was just at graduation, that's like saying, listen, 100 is the highest score you can get, but don't get 100. Don't aim for 100. Get like a 90. Save some points for another time. What do you mean? We've reached... I mean, has America reached this peak? You tell me. Get at me on Twitter, at JPorks. And you tell me, this is the question of the week. Homework, folks. This is your homework assignment from Dyze In Your House. It is to tweet at me and tell me, is this really America's peak? And if so, why? Tell me why you feel that way, so I can know what kind of therapy I'm supposed to recommend to you. Is it going to be an addiction therapy? Is it going to be shock treatments? Is it going to be straight lobotomization? I don't know. Is it going to be the things that they did to Frances Farmer? You know, she never did have her revenge on Seattle after all. Man. I don't know what was going on with my background music there, but I'm going to go back to my original here, and because we're winding down here. So I just wanted to say, like, if you live in New York, if you're my friend, if you live on Staten Island, if you're not doing anything on Tuesday, the 13th, June 13th, we're going to go to this die-in, okay? We're going to go to the city, and we're going to make our voices known. Because you know what? It's not right that kids get killed. And it's about time that we took back our government from old white men with old white ideals. People who fear brown people, fear change. Those people need to be voted out, and they will. And, you know, since it's a die-in, since it's about a gun rally, I don't want to do, like, puns, but, like, you know, the name of this podcast is Dyze In Your House. So that's going to be Dyze In Your Street. Is it not? Is it not? It will be. So what you got to do, if you want to know more about that, is you go on Twitter, you go to the March for Our Lives New York. The March for Our Lives New York page. That's MFOLNY. Of course, the @ sign comes before that. And also what I need you to do is I need you to text change. Text the word change to 9779 to stay up to date on everything that the March for Our Lives kids are getting done this summer, man. They're going on a bus tour. It's the road to change. # road to change. And I gotta be honest. I mean, I know, like, you know, there's the, you know, Our Revolution and the Bernie Bros and all that. I'm sorry, man. But the things these kids are doing, I've never been more inspired in my life. I'm a 31-year-old guy who goes to a job that does nothing. I come home, I do nothing. You know what I'm saying? I come home and I mess around on the internet. I record some podcasts. You know what I'm saying? These kids are out there organizing, getting people together, registering people to vote. And that couldn't be anything more American. There's nothing more American than voting and democracy and preserving it. But let me give you a little preview of what we're looking at on Monday when we go into the J Parks podcast. Pardon City. You can't pardon co-conspirators. That makes you a criminal. Pardon is an admission of guilt. Martha Stewart don't need your pardon. Also, Giuliani needs to stay off TV if they want any chance of keeping this narrative going. J Parks. See, I thought it was over there, but it's not. Anyway, what I was saying is, so stay tuned, keep it locked. Paul Manafort's going to be in jail for the rest of his life, unless he flips on Trump. Will he? Let's find out. J Parks, Dyze In Your House.